right, ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention, please.
No.
Thank you. And thank you, Ben. So before we get going with some of the student presentations, we are hoping to get a CS Club business matter attended to. So we have two candidates today who are running for the position of secretary, and they're going to give us a little brief 2-minute speech, and then they're going to leave the room. We're all going to vote on them. So I would really love if I could get everyone to help me out with this. And Fred and Katie are our two contestants. They'll come up here in a minute here. They'll introduce themselves, and then we'll get the voting, and then we'll get the presentations underway. So thank you. All right, Fred, you're up.
I'm Fred. I'm a senior at Sonoma State in the CS Club. So yeah, I'm going to be going into my last year at Sonoma State. So I really enjoy the community that the Computer Science Club has been. Just like everyone, Mike, and them, just going through all the years with them. Like, you really need friends to help you out with CS, and it'll help you pass classes, and just you'll have a lot of fun. So yeah, I would like to give a little bit back, so that's why I'm running for secretary. And I'd like to see a bright future after all the officers leave from their senior year, graduating year. So just like to see it grow. I'm qualified to be the CS secretary because I'm logistically oriented, so I need to find out details of anything, so I can relay that to you accurately. And I won't shirk my responsibility, and should I feel overwhelmed with the job, just school, or just anything that I'm unable to make the CS Club my top priority, that I'll just step down and just let you guys know, and feel sorry for you guys, just because at least, but you'll have another secretary that'll take the charge. So yeah, and then I'll do my best to make time for the CS Club to help it grow, and hopefully it'll flourish and continue on.
Hello everyone, I'm Katie Cavallaro. I'm currently a freshman right now, and so I'll be going into my sophomore year. I just recently declared CS as a major, so this is my first semester with the CS Club, and it's kind of surprised me how opening and welcoming all the current CS members are, because they've all been together for so long, and I'm just brand new to the club. So I think it'd be really cool to be secretary because they've helped me so much. I just kind of want to give a little bit back to them. And how Fred said that most of the people are graduating, it kind of makes me sad because I'm just now getting to know them, and some of them are leaving, which is a little depressing, and I'm really good with time management because I'm also trying to double major in engineering. So I'm very good at managing my time because I've also been able to do theater on the side for fun and keep my grades up, which is pretty cool. It's given me a wide variety of different people to meet at Sonoma State. And secretary is kind of easy. You just take a bunch of notes, which I like to do, and you just relay them back to people, which I kind of like to talk. So if people really get to know me, they know I like talking. And I'm always kind of enthusiastic and really up for anything, so I just think it'd be kind of fun to be secretary because, hey, why not? It's a position that needs to be filled. So yeah.
So let's ask the two of you, can you vacate the premises? We're just going to do I tried to say it nicer than that. So we're just going to do a quick hand vote because we don't have enough paper. But it's a convenient marker that is not permanent. Cool. So all right, so we're just going to do a really quick hand vote. So if you want to vote for Fred, just go ahead and raise your hand nice and high. And I'm terrible at counting. Is your hand raised?
We could do like a clap.
Yeah,
How loud?
however loud. There should be an app.
There's an app.
There is.
All right. Some people were putting their hands up and down, so I guess I might need to.
All
All right, so for Katie, raise your hand nice and tall and like leave it up, please. And don't raise both. You people, okay. Wait. Okay, yeah. No, because someone keeps putting their hand down. Okay, so from the looks of things, of the people who voted, it looks like Fred has swept. So thank you guys very much. I'll go break the news. So Fred is our new secretary. Thank you as soon as I let them know.
Cool. Tell them tomorrow.
I don't know.
There's no tie this time. I didn't have to break it. And now, with that done, I will hand it over to these two if they're ready. Awesome. All right. Oh. All right.
If Robbie wants, he doesn't have to. I don't know.
Yeah, see, one second.
Back in the cage.
What the title is? What is your
title
of the game? Yeah. That's that, but our game's called Roulette. Okay.
Do you guys want the lights on?
Yeah. So the first presentation
Your hands too
is going to be the capstone project that was done by Rich Thornberry and Tim Dawson. And so the title of their talk is Embedded Systems Game Development.
Yeah.
Because we all know none of you have done anything on the iPhone ever, so we're good.
Okay, so a show of hands, who here likes video games?
The video game?
Okay, so when we make references to other games, you'll probably have a clue of what we're talking about.
Hopefully.
Okay, so we should start off with why we chose to make a video game for the capstone. Wait, oh yeah, okay, cool. Well, we both had a common interest in games back in CS 115 when we met, and we kind of hit it off pretty well, so we knew we'd be destined to achieve great things. And also, like with a video game, you have a constant challenge, a variety. There's so many different styles of games out there, and that's just going to keep flourishing, and new games being invented every day.
Not to mention the amazing creative outlet that it provides.
It's a lot of fun. And then I put a little quote in here by myself. If you can dream it, you can make it. Right?
Yeah, so what platform? That was a big one. We're like trying to figure out what's challenging, fresh. You know, obviously, that we can do consoles, we can do just straight up computer, desktop, whatever, or we can go on iPhone, mobile platforms. We decided to go with the iPhone because full screen, touch control, developer support is extremely well documented, probably the code base. Also, the iPhone's kind of a catalyst. It's real easy with the App Store just to go on and preview a bunch of games and find one that you're willing to spend $1 on. So that provides the incredible opportunity as an independent developer. For very little effort, we just send Apple our compiled program. They review it to make sure it's not like hacks or some form of memory leak all over the place and destroying the phone, and then they can put it up there into the market.
Yeah, so we have all you folks that are graduating from CS right now, if you were to step into the mobile market, I think you'd have quite an opportunity out there to maybe become the next Bill Gates or something. So what kind of game do we want to make? It's kind of a combination of things. When I first started out, it was based on kind of this ancient game called Advanced Hero Quest, which let you roll dice to determine a board and how it was laid out. Anyway, so then this game I was interested in a random game generation because I didn't want to have to make a bunch of levels. I wanted the computer to do it for me. And when we first hooked up, I presented the idea to Tim, and Tim was like, "Oh, that's great, Rich, but it's so grand. Why don't we make an arcade version of that?" And so he said, kind of like Gauntlet.
So we went with random generation. We wanted to kind of make it multi-user, so multiplayer, and started out with like a management inventory, like kind of like RPG style, and with arcade elements. But when we hooked up with Ravi at the beginning of the semester, he said, "Your game's really big, and perhaps you should not work on the multiplayer aspect until you've got a core single player down." So we went with single player for this presentation. And then we had a laundry list of things we wanted to do, and we had to nix management inventory because we may throw that in at the end, but to get ready for this presentation here, we had to chuck some things. So this is kind of basically what we came up with. And using the power of Keynote, you get a nice little graphic spiel here of what we've put together. We've come up with our game, which is called Oubliette. It's a 2D dungeon crawler. So with that, the tools. Tim, talk about the tools.
All right, Xcode, great IDE. Lets you do a lot of things. All the visual representation, obviously. That's what we use primarily for coding. It's kind of required for the iPhone. You could probably code in like Emacs, but you're going to have to eventually port it over to Xcode in order to get it transferred onto the phone, the device itself. Interface Builder, we originally used that a lot for everything until we kind of started dynamically creating our views from scratch, because we kind of wanted to be able to put a bunch of stuff on there. Plus, Interface Builder is nice for simple things, but when you're doing games, there's too much stuff you got to put on there. So,
like static screens is what we use the Interface Builder for, basically.
Yeah, like the class selection screen where there's 4 buttons with 4 pictures. Great, it works because you can just load it from the nib, and you don't have to worry about all the coordinate placements for your images. Instruments has been a great help. I don't know if you guys have used it who are doing 470. But you can run things to check object allocations, find leaks, memory management, it's like utility. It's amazing. It's solved so many of my problems I've had with leaks and other crashes.
And we are proud to say that the game in this build is leak-free. There's no round of applause for that?
Yeah,
All right, so we started out having to create a game doc, CS385. So that kind of correlated well with Dr. Watts' class. So when we first introduced the game to Ravi, I thought the paragraph that we gave him about the game was sufficient, but apparently that it wasn't. So
more than a paragraph.
We had to go and break down pretty much every little teeny thing, and this was done kind of recursively with Ravi, because every week we'd meet, he'd come up with some new thing that we think like, well, obviously it's this, because we're programmers and gamers and we know that. So we had to kind of think from the outside, and one of the things that kind of brought everything together was this last step here, list every function to be used, which kind of brought everything together because we had to put everything that we thought we would need, which wasn't everything we needed, and give us an idea of how things would tie together. And that kind of is where we started to code.
All before you even code, which is not something we're really used to doing in the computer science area as of right now.
We were locked out of coding for the first 6 weeks.
Which is very tough, because the first thing I wanted to do was just jump in.
We coded. I'm sorry, we coded.
We cheated a little bit.
So where did we begin coding?
Rich is a huge fan of doing the dungeon generation. Like, he was way into that from the start, trying to figure out where the rooms were going to be placed. On the other hand, thought it would be cool to figure out how to control the player. It started off as kind of like using a D-pad, which, on an iPhone screen is kind of weird, and you can only move 4 directions. So it eventually evolved into joysticks and buttons and HUDs and all kinds of cool stuff to convey information to and from the user.
Yeah, and there's some moments when you're developing as a team, even if it's just 2 people, that are just like key moments. And one of those moments was when we first put together my dungeon generator and his UI with the iPhone. Because they're in separate views, it was really easy to drop them on.
Just load them right on top of each other.
And then hit start build, and then it worked, and we were like, oh my god, this is awesome. We don't need 6 weeks.
Huge milestone.
And
it's very motivational.
The keynote that we would really love to impress upon you is to use version control.
Version control.
We were only 2 people, and in the beginning, cake. I was doing this, Tim was doing this. But as this behemoth project came together,
I think we have like 9,000 lines of code right now.
We'd start dipping in everywhere. I'd tap 3 or 4 objects, and Tim would tap another 2, and then it's like, oh my god, how are we going to merge
Sending
this?
things through AIM and then
Copy paste. Here,
manually
let me come over to your
copying
computer
in.
and type that in.
Yeah.
So
A little bit of redundancy.
you definitely want to use
Not the most efficient use of our time.
All right, so it became something. It's alive. So our hero was the blue ball, which is really legit because when it started out, we thought we had so much promise, and the blue ball said no. So beginning with overlapping rooms, like the dungeon came together, and I was walking the blue ball around, and I'm like, why are these rooms overlapping? So I had to kind of work with that. Tim had deals with multi-touch issues.
Because all we had was the original joystick, and we eventually wanted to add buttons, and we had to kind of figure out how the touch architecture worked. Oh, and then the whole beauty of alloc copy or new, you need to retain and release along with you set properties, and you have to make sure you're calling the actual constructor versus just assigning to an object. It was an interesting Objective-C thing to learn because we're so used to C++. We had no experience with Objective-C at all. So it was kind of a crash course in the language plus the iPhone platform.
And the paradigm that Apple uses is model view controller, I'm sure you're familiar with.
Basically, model view controllers, you have your data, which is a model. You have your view, which is what the user sees. And then you have your controller, which kind of acts as a bridge between the two and takes information from your model and puts it on your view. And you don't really want to be doing model calculations inside your view controller.
So we really tried to do that, but
Yeah,
with the game, it's a little tricky. It's a little tricky. And we'll kind of go over that. We have a little chart we'll cover in a few minutes. So Tim, talk about what makes up our game, Udia.
Okay, yeah, there's a couple key things right here. The most important one in my mind is the game loop. That is responsible for generating every single frame you see on screen. It's basically run 30 times a second, and it goes through and iterates and runs and updates your enemies, your players, all the rooms, missiles, sounds. It's responsible for everything. Our generators are basically our singleton objects that we create. So if we need to spawn an enemy, we pass in certain parameters to our generator, which then goes through and handles the creation of the enemy, or a missile, or a loot, or whatever kind of object we need in our game. View management is really important. We first started off with just one view controller, and we tried to put everything into that. And
that didn't work.
That caused heartache, and I cried a little bit. Actually, a lot. I'm pretty sure I drowned some ice somewhere. But eventually we figured out to have a root view that can basically does nothing but manage our view hierarchy. We'll show you a breakdown of that a little later. HUD and controls is basically an overlay that has the joystick, buttons, health bar, potion, basic things that the player needs to see. We have about 1 million classes for everything. Every object we have, whether it be enemy, player, doors have objects, walls, rooms.
Logic. Everything.
Yeah, everything. Sound was a fun one. We broke into OpenAL, which is a pretty cool library, to get our sound playing because we wanted some concurrent sounds. Like say you're shooting a missile or something, and you shoot them real fast. If the other sound's not done playing, the default sound library in the iPhone doesn't let you do that. It'll wait for it to stop before playing it. So we needed to get some concurrent sound going, and OpenAL was great for that. And Rich was in charge of the art and animation. I mean, the blue ball that you saw previously, that was like stretching the limits of my artistic creativity when it comes to using Photoshop. Rich?
Yeah, everything in the game is made by us, which I would highly recommend hiring a third party for that because that ends up taking up a lot of time if you want it to look decent for a presentation for your fellow students. So this is the chart.
Big flowchart, yes.
Kind of breakdown of the game here. Well, we start with the application delegate, which kind of checks for events, key events in your iPhone, and we spawn our game view controller, which is our root controller, and then that covers that layer of controllers there.
Yeah, game view controller is saved us. That's what really
yeah, in order to track
brought it together smoothly.
all of the data that's flying around, to pass it through the delegate. And at first we thought we had to go through delegate, and it wasn't working out well. So we finally discovered the root controller.
Yeah, and our root controller will own the player object. It'll own the audio object, which are basically the things that we need to be persistent throughout the games when we load new levels. So that provides us kind of a platform to build upon.
And the basic structure of the game is when you start, you have a splash screen that introduces the game, and then you go to class selection so you can pick your type of player, and then that creates the player. And after that, your next screen is customization, so you can pick how deep the dungeon is and how big it is. And then that loads the world. And then once you load the world, we have what's called a room controller, which is essentially the world. And you have a HUD controller for everything that you see on top that you manipulate with your fingers. And, oh, I'm sorry, no, that's the joystick controller. And the HUD controller is like your health and stuff like that. So. And then Tim, talk about room generators and game loop.
Yeah, sure. The room controller was the original controller that we had that we mentioned a little earlier, that we had everything in. Because it was originally started as just the controller that would handle loading the world, and then we kind of put a game loop in there, and we started loading stuff on. So the room controller still contains our game loop. And we call that with just an NS timer. Once the view loads, we start the game running. And inside of the room controller also are all of our generators. The generators to create rooms, doors, enemies, missiles, and loot. Just singleton objects. All of them are allocated and created. Our game loop will go through and handle the collision detection, updating a player's movement, as I said earlier. All seeing the game is happening in the game loop once it's up and running. When the game finishes, we have a little cleanup function that goes through and kind of deallocates, releases as necessary, maybe removes some images, clear up that memory.
Load new levels.
Load new levels. We start a whole new room controller for every level.
So what it looks like, before we do our little demo here, is your splash screen controller tosses up your little splash screen. Hey, this is our game.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Then the class selection, so we have 4 characters you could choose from. We'll demo 1 or 2, I think. Then your custom controller with that awful blue and white bar that we need to take out still. But
yeah, we need to overload those graphics.
that slider lets you pick the depth of the dungeon up to 20 levels deep. And then when we were coming up with the game design, we thought, like, as an iPhone app, you know, you don't sit in your living room and go hardcore iPhone app. Yeah, it's more like you're on a bus or you're in a taxi or you're on a plane. So if you're on a bus going across town, maybe you can do like 5 levels. And if you're on a plane, maybe you do 20. I don't know. And then you can pick how many rooms basically are.
I mean, the best part about this, it allows you to fully customize your experience to tailor your situation. Like, everything in here is randomly created and different, and all based on the input you provide.
That's the beauty of it. And then we load our world. Look at that fantastic.
Yeah, isn't that pretty? No, but we're just kidding.
The game did look like that at one point.
At one point in time, about 40 revisions ago.
So Tim will demo here.
Camera back on?
Yeah.
So I'm going to see if I can get this real loud, and we can get some volume actually heard from our game. Yeah, you want to...
So unfortunately, when you're developing applications for the iPhone, unlike Steve Jobs, who gets to work an iPhone in front of you live, the only out that comes out of here for video is NTSC video for movies. So
it kind of looks bad, but
you have to deal with the crappy screen here.
yeah, you can feel free to yell at me if I throw it too much off the...
It's kind of blurry. That's better.
Does it? I don't know.
Okay.
You're moving.
Yeah, this lining this up is the vector issue, isn't it? All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and pick Priest and say we'll go with a few rooms.
Dude, I'm really trying to get this like off of here. How's that?
Here it goes.
It's a little
Okay.
bit.
It's a little blurry. Where's our audio?
Yeah.
We have no
You have
audio.
to turn it up. Turn it up. See the mouth is flashing.
Yeah, that wasn't working anyway.
It's not working.
So this is what you get. You get the iPhone speaker. So you guys can maybe hear a little bit. But yeah, so we got our dude. Walk around if Rich wants to maybe narrate while I play.
Oh, you can't see the beauty of the priest. He has his wings flapping behind him. So there's basically just 3 types of rooms right now, but you have a big room, a smaller room, and a smallest room. And those are randomly generated. The priest is walking through the dungeon here. And as he approaches the door, he'll spawn monsters. This is a ghost monster. He has some attacks. You have a banshee howl there. So the way the game is played, over here you have your primary and secondary attacks that Tim's right thumb is on. And then the top button is a special attack. And the way we originally planned it was you would shoot in the direction you faced, kind of like Zelda. But that was really awkward because every time you turned to face, you would move in that direction. So you'd end up taking damage from enemies if you were really close. So what we ended up doing was like a standard PS3 or Xbox controller with the left controlling your movement and the right controlling which direction you face. You still have the option to single tap on the button, and it'll shoot in the direction you're at, but if you hold it down, you can spin your head around and shoot in any direction. And then once you tap the secondary button, it'll take the place of the primary, toggles back and forth, so you can shoot. And each of those attacks has, unique strengths for the game.
I'm cheating a little bit, sorry.
Okay, and then the menu that just came up here is a dev menu we created. It allows us to see how many rooms there are, even though you can't see them. Set volume controls. We can toggle clip, so we can just walk through the rooms. And then a really cool feature is to trigger all rooms, because the way the game works is the rooms are hidden, and once you walk in, everything spawns. But we needed to test 24 room dungeons, which is the max, and the hit that we would take if we generated that stuff. So you could generate everything instantly and see if that was manageable.
Yeah, I just found the key if you want to tell them about that.
Yeah, so basically the goal is to cruise through the dungeon, find a key, and then get out. And while you're doing all that, things are attacking you. So once Tim has the key, it kind of displays up here, which you can't see too well. And then he has to find the exit. And then once you find the exit, you go to your next level, and it just kind of repeats. So he's cruising everywhere, going through walls. It's illegal, but it's legit. So what's cool is every character that we have of the 4, they all have unique interfaces. The controls and the buttons are all different. So Tim can exit out now and load up a new level. This is the mage. So he has different attacks. His controller looks different. So they're all unique, which gives the player a feeling of, uniqueness.
Yeah, we really like those shows.
Yeah, so they'll drop gold and they'll drop health potions for you. And down here you have your little health potion, which gives you 3 uses to boost up your health. And as you use it, it drains. So you can kind of gauge how much health you have left. So Tim voiced the potion. I don't have any more. So yeah, before this finds its way out to the world, we'll sit down and record some voices. That'll be a lot of fun. So that's basically the game. That's.
You want to go over the different attacks we got?
What happens if you die?
You die.
Give myself a kill.
I haven't set that animation. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, I think we got to wrap it up. So
All right.
let's switch over to the presentation real quick.
Yeah, let's give myself a kill real quick. Hey, what do you want to see?
We got to go back to the keynote because we have like a minute left. All right, so that's the game. If you want to see it like nice and clean, you're welcome to approach us later. So just a quick recap here. In summary, so capstone stats. It's over 8,000 lines of code. These hours are legit hours if you break it down and split it in half per person. Like half of 530, so 2 people. That's a lot of time.
The cool part is...
Yeah, I didn't know, so I just left it. It was gallons.
The best part about this is that once we started coding, we actually really got into it. We're having a lot of fun. So instead of going and playing World of Warcraft or watching new television shows like Archer on... we decided to sit down, and if we got bored, we'd start coding.
Right, so we'd play test the game and run it through instruments and all that good stuff. These are some of the books we used. I know 447 you're using the O'Reilly series. We use the A-Press series. This book here gives you some great ideas on just design for games.
These books are awesome.
So what's next? And when we're all done with the presentation here, we have 3 weeks left, and hopefully we can get back some player persistence so you can have saved games and have multiple characters saved. We really do want to implement the multiplayer, at the very least 2-player over Bluetooth, so we're trying to get that done. And then some improved enemy AI, boss encounters. Originally the idea was to have a boss every other level, and just some more graphics and stuff.
Any
All right.
questions? Comments? Anyone want to pay 99 cents for a game?
So that's the presentation, if you don't have any questions. You guys need this adapter? What's that? Oh, and he's got that. Okay.
Like those things don't work on the same.
Oh, okay.
Because that's what's it called that? That's how many double the weight. And unfortunately, the adapter should give you
job, Chris. Whatever. Nice.
It's a game from the third class.
Just unplug that.
Okay. Just stand here. Yeah. I'm glad you showed me. I'm glad you did the potion. I don't have it anymore. I do because I'm fun.
Hey Ben, what's this?
That is the mic.
Oh. Okay. Move it over more.
You want to stay clear of the screen?
We ran through and it was on time.
Yeah. Good. It was even a little low.
Read through. Do we get 15? No.
We're good over here, so we'll be out of the screen.
Is it on?
Picture me. It's probably on picture me.
We're good.
Why isn't it on this?
Is it on picture me?
It should be on. Hey Ben, how do you turn this on?
You go to the button and
They muted us.
Okay, our next presentation is by a team from CS470. That's a capstone course, and what they will present is one of the projects that they implemented in the course. That they implemented 4 projects, some of them easier. This is a longer project, so this is the last project. And the 3 who are going to present are Jason Grigori, Joshua Becker, and Matt Shetler.
What's up?
oh, go to window. And then say bring. Usually you can do Zoom. You'll have to close it and open it again.
Well,
You're not timed exactly.
I think it'll be alright.
I can relaunch it and hopefully it'll come into view. There we go. Why is it
But now are you gonna?
tiny? That's actually okay. Bring the resolution back down. 800 by 600. It's because you dropped it far down here. Like 210, 20. It's this one right here. Close. Alright, so I'm just going to get started. We're the SSU app group. We decided as part of our CS470 class as our final project to create an application for the students of Sonoma. We wanted to help all of you guys be on sort of the cutting edge of technology and have a really useful way to integrate your phone with all of the technology that Sonoma State has. We wanted to give a way for easy access to everything. If it's somehow Sonoma related, we wanted you to access it from your phone. Just start the presentation. Okay, so yeah, so Matt, Jason, and Josh. Here's our home view of our app. As you can see, we've implemented about 12 modules at this point. Some features that you can do off your phone: check your email, check bus times, manage your wolf bugs, look up sports scores from our teams, search for your teacher, find their homepage, and whatnot. It's just some really cool features that every student will find a use for. So we've had about a month to work on this. We've got a lot of features that are in progress. We're still working on them. We've got some that are pretty much done. We're very satisfied with them. We got a whole bunch more that we're looking to add as well. Go ahead. Yeah.
Gotta launch the simulator. Okay, so the idea with the directory was to give users the ability to find out information that they want about instructors or faculty members, to get their web page or their email address so they can get office hours, find their office location, etc. And course catalog is essentially implemented the same, giving the user the ability to find out information about all courses offered at Sonoma State.
Yeah, we'll try and get the simulator running so we can demo it for you. That'll work. Change the page. There you go. Perfect. Okay.
Okay, so launch the directory gives you the ability to search by department or straight to faculty member if you know exactly who you're looking for. So if you go to department, we've got all the departments listed here, and continue on computer science. And here is a view of all the different instructors in the computer science department. And clicking on one of these cells will bring you to their home page. Here we've got Ravi with a title, email address. This is going to launch your mail client on your device that will call on your device. We could go to his web page, and you've got the ability to zoom in. We could look at the architecture web page, and etc. Keep going from there. So this right here will allow you to jump back instead of having to go back through all the view controllers. And you can essentially do the same search by individually faculty member, which will bring you to that page. Courses is, as I said, really implemented in the same fashion. You've got the option to search by department or by course name. And once again, clicking on department, there's a search here, so you can just go to computer science. And here are all the different courses offered and their titles. And the course home page, where you've got a description of the course, and other information here regarding the course, and links to the prerequisites that will bring up the page similar to this one for that course. And once again, you can jump back and do the same type of search by course name that will bring you to that page. Okay.
Okay, and then our couple other modules we have. A calendar that works basically the same way as the calendar that's built in. It lists a lot of important dates for the school, like when the furlough days are, final schedules, all that, and an athletics view as well that will list rosters and statistics for all of the sports. So I'll take you through those. Calendar. This is getting data from the internet right now, so it may take a moment. It's over Wi-Fi.
So our app pulls data from two main places. Data such as this is live. It needs to be pulled off the web as you access it because you want data that's relevant to the current day or whatnot. Some of it's hard-coded, like the class catalog. You don't need to go fetch that each time you want some information, so that's hard-coded.
Okay, so as you see here, we have a list of a bunch of dates, events that are going on, when to register, things like that. And then we have a graphical view as well. And then with the athletics section, we have the list of all the different sports teams that we have here. You can click on a team, bring you to a schedule which hasn't been implemented yet, and a roster of players as well as coaches. And then if you click on stats, it will bring you to the statistics website on the web on cwolves.edu. Check statistics for a particular game, box score, and see the stats of all the players.
All right, so the next thing is email. I wanted a way to access the Sonoma State webmail in a very easy way on the device, because currently the only way to do it, access the webmail, is throw up a web browser, navigate to the page, type in your credentials each time, which takes forever, especially with complex passwords and whatnot. I just wanted something that I could click on. It showed me my email. If I had something new, I would be notified just right there really fast. So we implemented an email module. It pulls in to your Sonoma email. You have the option, which I really enjoy, of storing your username and password locally on the device. They are stored encrypted, so it's relatively safer than storing them in plain text. But if you don't want to do that, you can still type in your credentials. The login page pulls up instantly. It doesn't actually have to go download the login page from the web. So even if you don't store your credentials, it's ridiculously faster than loading Safari and trying to do the same thing. So here I just saved my password because I don't want you guys to see me. I'll type it in. But so this is an example of someone that may not have their information saved. So I could actually just log in here, hit go. It takes a few seconds to load it. Maybe more than a few seconds. But right in, see how your webmail, and you have the option, of course, of you can save your username, save your password, and you can turn on auto login. So I've told it to save my username now. So after I log in on this time, I'll have a valid login, so it'll know to remember my username and password. See, there, it pulled in much more fast. It's a really fast load. Next time I load this module, since I told it to auto log in and save both my username and password, I tap it, it submits the form instantly, and under a second you're in your webmail. And that's one tap. You don't have to type in anything, and it's really effective. This is fully featured. You can go through portrait or landscape mode rather works. It's a really, really useful thing to have.
Okay, so a couple more modules here. We have a map that just gives you a high-resolution, complete map of the campus, where you can zoom in and see all the different buildings, etc. The Sonoma module just launches sonoma.edu. Links and resources, which I'll demo right now, gives a lot of important information for the user. And then news, which will give you a link to the mobile web version of the Sonoma Star and the PD. Okay, so let's look at resources. So here a user has a lot of information about the different departments or places on campus. And right here, clicking these will call the place. The emergency numbers have a little protection there. But you can call and you can get information about, let's see, help desk, admissions and records, etc., bookstore. And then all the dining services. We've got Amici's here, Charlie Brown's, etc., and different transportation. This is going to link to our mobile bus schedule that Matt's going to demo soon, ride-sharing program, taxi, and then some web links. And they every cell here when tapped either calls the number or goes to the web page, which will load momentarily. And this is completely expandable. If different departments want to add more information. I mean, currently just essentially calls, but any type of information can be displayed there.
And then we have our news section here. You can pick your news source, either Sonoma Star or Press Democrat. It'll pull up their mobile site. Here we have the story about our app, actually. So, kind of cool. Search for the game. Oh, search for the game? I don't know. Is that going to be there? I don't think so.
I don't even know how to spell that.
SSU game?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, sorry.
No, not seeing it.
Dance team.
And then here's the map as well.
So this is a high resolution.
High resolution.
If you
pulled
get
off
lost,
the net. So
help the map.
if you don't know where you are,
Yeah.
there you go.
An example of a feature
There's
that's
Zelda
coming
right
soon.
there. Yeah.
An example of a feature that's coming soon. You could have the phone locate you, drop a pin on where you're on the map. Potentially give you directions how to get to a certain place.
If you forget where you park.
Yeah. Something like that. All right, so the next thing is the transit module. What we wanted is a way to give a student instant access to a list of bus times as the bus comes to Sonoma State, or maybe they live off campus and they need to know when the bus is going to come by their house because they want to, take public transportation to school. So this is all implemented. So if you pull up transit right here, pop into this view. These are all the stop times at, this is bus route 10, it's the one that comes by Sonoma. So these are all the stops it makes at Cotati Hub, Lancaster, etc., etc. Here's Sonoma State University. So we know the next bus is going to be at 1:01 in 13 minutes.
1 o'clock?
If you wanted to, you can filter this and see all the all the various times, or just throw the more relevant ones at you. If you wanted to have a map of the bus route, you've got the entire route here, all the stops, arrows indicating direction, whatnot. Here's a school, various stops. Let's say you didn't know what stop was closest. You just had no idea. What this will do is this will actually fire up core location and activate the phone's GPS. It'll tell you which stop is the closest. You hit OK here and it'll scroll you to it. And the reason it chose this stop is because in the simulator there's really no GPS and it just sort of throws you the coordinates of Apple's headquarters. But this will be a really useful feature. Another thing that's coming soon is on this page was like a Google Map type thing that'll drop a pin on each stop for the route, and you can locate yourself and find the shortest path to the nearest route, basically, so you can get there and you'll know what time the bus is and everything. Okay, so one of the next features we just recently implemented was the radio station We can stream from the KSUN radio station just like you would stream on your device from Pandora or whatnot. It's very cool. You can listen, plug in headphones, go on the wall. There it is right there. Stream right to your device, really easy. A feature that's coming soon on that is a schedule of some of their upcoming shows and whatnot. We can integrate that really well. You can listen live over the 3G. It works totally fine unless you have an iPod Touch, you need Wi-Fi or whatnot. Okay, I'll do it. So yeah, we want to integrate with Wolfbucks fully. Right now, as we have it, we want to be able to add Wolfbucks to your card. We want to be able to view your dining dollars, view your current balance, etc. Everything that Wolfbucks can do, we want to be able to do on your phone, so you can have mobile access to it. Everything, even maybe potentially order food from Charlie Brown or something from your mobile device. Right now, you can do most of this stuff through the web. But we want this to be integrated fully in our app, be full functionality. It'd be really cool if we could get that in. We'd have to work with Wolfbucks people.
Okay, so now, we'll talk a little bit about Objective-C and Xcode.
So we've implemented this in Objective-C, which is a language that Apple really supports greatly. And so we basically just started to learn Objective-C at the beginning of this semester. So we've been able to pretty much fully learn it though just over this semester. It's a pretty good language. It's object-oriented, somewhat similar to C++. Some things are similar to Java.
Here we have different groups, and these are all the different files for every individual module. We've essentially just each attacked X amount of modules and created our own groups here. And then you want to talk about version control? And
so like Tim was saying, Xcode's a really good development environment. It's very effective, and we implemented source code control, so we could all work on this at the same time. We could be working on the same file, literally editing the same file at the same time, making changes, having them merge together. We didn't have to email files or post anything in AIM messages to each other. It's been really, really, really conducive to getting stuff done and very effective. I strongly suggest it. And Xcode integrates with it very naturally and very well. If you're working on anything with a group, even 2 people, I strongly, strongly suggest it.
Yeah, it all resides on a web server, and then we can check out the project and all work on individual files, commit them, and then update to the most recent version. And really, it's worked perfectly in all reality. Because version control is obviously a huge issue, especially when we've got 50 different files going on here. And talk about lines of code.
Okay, so we have something like 13,000 straight up lines of code, subtracting comments and new lines. It's around 7,000, 2,000 comments. So this is a pretty big project. We've got a lot of stuff going on here. Like I was saying, version control makes it very manageable.
And a lot of features are yet to be completed or implemented. We've still got 3 weeks, which is almost the amount of time we put into it.
Yeah.
A little less. So,
So any questions from anyone?
For the bus times, is that just going to periodically update itself?
Yeah, so feature I've failed to mention. But so there's a script that exists on the Seawolf server that goes and grabs data from the Sonoma County Bus Transit website, and it converts it into an XML format that the phone can download and parse very easily. And that, as of right now, basically what's happening is the phone will download that file, store it for 3 or 4 days, and then after that time it'll expire, and then it will go fetch a new one. The nature of bus schedules, they don't really change that much. But something, for example, like calendar dates on the athletics things and whatnot like that, that needs to update daily. Scores need to update daily. So we'll have that being updated much more frequently. We want the phone to access the internet, and therefore, we want it to access the internet as minimally as possible. We want it to get in, get its stuff it needs, and then not touch the internet for a little while, so we can preserve your battery. We don't want this to be a huge drain on anything. It would be very efficient, very fast, don't have to rely on a connection, and etc.
What's the soonest I can get this at?
Good question.
Yeah.
Probably fall.
Yeah.
Fall semester.
After summer, so by the beginning of next
We want to have
semester,
this
we'll
ready
open
and on the
that
App Store by the start of next semester.
At least
We're going
the
to
first
continue to work on
version.
this over the summer. Yeah.
Any estimated price at this point that you guys have concluded?
Free. It's for the students. I mean,
Okay.
Market this at orientation?
Okay, $2.
I think it's good.
Yeah, just go with iAds.
Oh, God. Users love that.
Is there a way to disable certain features, like if I don't care about the school sports? Is there a way so that it doesn't fetch information?
Well, we've been toying with the idea of similar to your home screen on your phone, where you tap, you hold out an icon, it starts to jiggle, and then you can like remove it. We've been toying with ideas such as that, and you can enable that and whatnot. Maybe to come.
Version 2.0.
Maybe not.
Why are you doing this? When was this a few years ago, all right?
Okay, so
You got my back then, I like that.
just a quick note. Next week is the celebration, the end of year and graduation celebration. So please come here, all of you. We will have pizza. And 2 weeks from today, we will have more presentations, student presentations. And of course, we want you to be here.